I'm shook. I have no words right now. Like, I was completely hurt and confused. And I was ready to beat everyone's ass. Now coming off of season 2, I'm just like, I don't fuck with no vampires. Fuck all of them.
Yeah. I'm just like, yes, you guys, I was siding with Louis. Noah, I still don't feel for Lestat, so y'all know I don't. Now I don't feel for either of them. Y'all just messy. And I just hope y'all don't ruin any more lives.
Welcome everyone to another episode of the Most Potato Podcast, the podcast where we gaslight our lovers, our interviewers, and ourselves. My name's Alvin.
I'm Jess.
And today we are here once again to discuss Interview with the Vampire, this time season 2.
Yes.
It was really fun talking about this last time and really fun to hear a lot of people's thoughts on this series.
Yeah.
I did not realize how popular this show was. It's like everybody's looking to like talk to people about this show. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So thank you guys so much for like all the insightful comments and questions and thoughts. It's really fun to discuss this stuff with you guys.
No, I had like a really good time reading everyone's comments, getting a little bit more information, the discussions, all that stuff.
Yeah, and
I really appreciate all of those.
I really appreciate how nobody was trying to spoil anything either.
That
I
too.
love how careful you guys were about spoilers. So we really appreciate that. So thank you for that. And we went into season 2 with like a lot of anticipation because a lot of people are just like, oh, just wait until you get to season 2. Just wait, like your whole perspective is gonna shift. And I'm just like, okay, I guess. And then
I can't stand both of them.
Yeah, I didn't take it as seriously as I should. Now coming off of season 2, I'm just like, I don't fuck with no vampires. fuck all of them.
Yeah. And I'm just like, it's disappointing. I want to root
but it's so entertaining. I love how messy.
It's so messy. I mean, I think maybe the only one I was ever rooting for was Claudia.
Claudia is absolutely somebody to be like just treasured and protected at all times.
Yes. Yeah, that's about it though. That's about it.
Fuck everyone. And yeah, here we are, season 2, Vampires in Paris. So tell me, babe, what were your thoughts on season 2 coming off of a really wonderful season 1? What are your overall feelings?
Well, I felt like the start was a little slow, which was kind of fitting. They were like looking for other vampires.
Yeah.
So it only made sense. It was a little slow, but I think we needed it just to see like where Louis and Claudia left off after, murdering Lestat, but
or at least attempting
to. Yeah, that's right, Louis. But yeah, after attempting to do that, it was kind of a slow start for me. I felt like
you were not feeling episode 1 that much.
I wasn't.
You were like on your phone a lot.
I know. I'm sorry.
Shame.
But it started to pick up, and I really started to enjoy it once I felt like Louis and Claudia, they were like,
I think once they hit Paris, it started picking up for you.
Yeah, and once they started to like get along better, there's still that strain. But then I was like, things are about to happen. And then, the whole Armand.
Motherfucking Armand, man.
Like he was always like, I was always giving him the side eye since the beginning. I
was nicer than you. I was just a huge fan of him without knowing much about him. You just
like his hair.
I mean, that's a small part of it, but just his whole aura was just like, oh, this guy looks like he knows what he's all about. He looks really cool and self-assured, and I was so wrong.
I knew there was something. I knew it, and I just, oh, man. But no, once everything started to like, I knew eventually Claudia was going to die, just based off of like general knowledge of knowing how the story goes for these 3. I didn't know what to expect and how it would
play out.
Yeah, and it was just really like she was just the best from till the very end. Like I was just like, she didn't deserve any of this. Like, she deserved so much more. And I really enjoyed how it picked up at the end, and it just got super messy. It felt more like season 1. But like you said, I was on my phone maybe for like the first episode, I think it was. And I was just like, oh, it's kind of slow. I hope it's not going to be like this the whole season.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a good season. I thought how it wrapped up as well too, with more of the truths coming out.
That was the biggest thing.
More lies, and I was just like, I don't know. Like I'm just like, yes, you guys. I was siding with Louis. Noah, I still don't feel for Lestat. So y'all know I don't. I don't feel for either of them. Maybe a little bit for Louis, but I just feel like, y'all just messy. And I just hope y'all don't ruin any more lives like you've been doing for how many?
Oh, they're only getting started. We got season 3 coming up. I can't wait for season 3.
Just
oh
so
my
messy,
god.
though.
Yeah. That's vampires. This whole season really just sealed the deal on the fact that being a vampire is just a fucking curse. And it just causes nothing but problems for people.
Yeah, yeah, at the end I was just like, y'all all messy. I can't deal with this. What about you? Like, how are you feeling?
I basically share the same feelings as you. Season 1 felt more tight and concise and like equally entertaining throughout every episode, and I think it's because we were confined, to a small town in New Orleans and focusing on 3 main characters. Whereas here in season 2, we start off with the first episode in this sprawling journey through this dark, bleak trek through I think Romania was the country that they were in.
I think so.
Yeah, like post World War II, you just see like bodies of like soldiers out there. You see Louis and Claudia trying to survive off of bad blood and how they expanded on that lore.
Oh yeah.
Episode 1 was a gut punch. It was so bleak. It kind of felt like the way I felt during watching Chernobyl. Like for episode 1, I'm like,
I'm never gonna feel that because
it's gonna be that. Except Chernobyl, I could rewatch over and over again like a psycho.
I don't know how. Like I can't even watch that show. Like just
I want to talk about Chernobyl now.
Zip it.
But no, I felt the same as you. Starting off, I was like, this feels so drastically different from season 1, but not in a bad way. I really respect and appreciate how they opened up the world of the vampires more. I really love that they started with this journey of basically kind of like finding God. Like they just wanted to find other people like them, finding community, and to find out that they're just dying off in Eastern Europe, and just like there's like no satisfaction for Claudia because she wanted to find community so bad. Yeah. And I love how they start off with like that desperate feeling, and then we go into Paris where now we start getting more of the same energetic feeling from season 1, but there's still problems with these vampires in this new coven that they find.
Yeah.
But season 2 was, I think, phenomenal. I think I like season 1 a bit more just because of how concise every episode was.
Yeah.
But I think for the most part, this season was almost as good, and it still blew me out of the water. It was such a good show, and I was reminded again why people are obsessed with this show.
Yeah. I mean, they really, they spill the tea. Like that's what made the season 2. I was just like, I was worried it wasn't gonna be good, but I was like, they were just spilling tea left and right, and I was just like,
and the way they did it was so entertaining. Yes. You think you get the information, then the next episode there's like another misdirect.
I'm questioning everybody. I don't care. I just started questioning the shit out of Louis. I mean, I was questioning him before, in season 1, but like with season 2, I'm just like, are you sure? When they revealed certain things about how events that he spoke on in season 1 played out, when they revealed how it really happened, I was just like,
and how much he misdirected us.
Yes. And I was just like, well, it wasn't all him.
It wasn't all him, but he was a big part of it.
It just made you see him like in a completely different light.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, like both of y'all ain't shit.
Yeah, no, I look at Louis way more differently after this season. I'm like, okay, you're not nearly as squeaky clean as I thought you might be. And I have a little less sympathy for you, but
he's nowhere as bad as Lestat.
He's not, but we see how he's guilty of a lot of pretty gaslighty things that he does in his relationships as well. And then especially with Armand, how like that whole power dynamic just shifted. So, and I can't wait to get into details of that a little later. But I guess I wanted to start off with like the beginning of the season. How did you feel? I know you mentioned that you didn't like, not that you didn't like, but you didn't feel as excited about episode 1. But what was your feeling on Claudia and Louis going all this way through this horrible post-World War II journey just to find out that the vampire that they were looking for just offs herself into a fireplace.
Okay. I thought that was a little confusing for me. I was just like, why is she doing this? But when they talked about the blood and the blood that that woman or that vampire has been drinking this whole time.
I think her name was Daciana.
Yeah. I just was like, okay, this kind of makes sense. She seems like super out of it. There's no way she's going to be able to travel with them. Not just because she needs a bath, but like she's just like, she's been in this state for what seems like a really long time.
Like years minimum.
And we saw, Claudia's first interaction with another vampire here in this location, it was like a zombie.
He was more feral than this woman.
It was weird, and I was just like, this is not what they got here in Europe. Like, this can't be. Like, I was just like,
we got variety in vampires now.
I was like, this can't be what it is. And then you find out like this woman's turning like basically half dead soldiers.
Yeah.
And there's like this whole other thing where she's like, baby. It's like, it was weird. I was like, there's no way she's coming with them. And
looking raggedy as hell
for a moment. And like Claudia, for a moment I was just like, oh yeah, we're gonna connect with her, she's gonna be there. And then she just flung herself in that chimney, and I was just like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, okay,
I was kind of I was half expecting that, but also half expecting like, are they gonna pull this off?
Yeah, that's what I was. And then I felt bad for Claudia, and then like everything just kind of
destroyed.
Dropped. Yeah, and I was just like, what now? But yeah, when they make it to Paris, like you see things seem a little bit lighter. They have like that conversation on their way there. I think they were like in a carriage or something like that. But you still saw Lestat like looming over them.
Yeah,
like,
Louis' fucking hallucination.
Mostly. Yeah. And I was just like hoping for the best for Claudia, because I'm just like, we left off where we were in season 1, you know, still running away, and I'm pretty sure she's always had her doubts about Louis and Louis picking her first, which up until the very end, it still felt like she wasn't number one.
She was never put first.
Yeah, until it was just like too late, until there was nothing he can absolutely do to save her. And I just felt like that was like it was always the case. And even when they were traveling together, like I was feeling a little hurt for their relationship, because I was always hoping that maybe things could get better now that they're away. Maybe they'll get stronger. Maybe Louis will like see the light or something like that. But I was still a little like hesitant about Louis and how he feels towards her and how much he's willing to put in towards Claudia.
Yeah.
And that whole journey where she just wouldn't talk to him, I was like, he deserves it. But I was just really hoping that he would say the right thing or do the right thing. And I was just like, but what can he do since he didn't kill Lestat, since he didn't burn his body or whatever it is? You know? There was nothing that would ever truly like fix that.
Yeah.
So you felt that whole first episode. Yes, I was on my phone, but I felt it a lot in how they interact and how she didn't say much to him, only what needed to be said, as so they could, you know, make their way to like the next point.
Yeah.
You know?
And I was going to get to that point about how they just weren't getting along like they were before in season 1. I love that they established the fact that there's a rift between Louis and Claudia, because like you mentioned, Louis basically not committed to removing himself entirely from Lestat and finding this new community. He couldn't give two shits about finding new vampires. He's only doing it because of Claudia. But like, if you're doing it to just appease her, but you're not putting in the effort and not putting all your focus on that, then you're not really supporting her in anything. You're still holding her back. Yeah. You've got projections of Lestat over here just talking shit every step of the way.
It's so annoying.
Yeah. So it's like he still feels guilt, he still feels remorse, and he still feels connected and attached to Lestat, which is distracting him from making Claudia happy. And that I think that sets up the premise for the entire season of how Louis just can't seem to like just step out of getting out of his way all the time and having it be all about him and his satisfaction.
Yeah.
When we go into Paris, like multiple times, he still lets Claudia down with like this whole business with the new vampire coven. Like he makes it very difficult for her to join this coven when he doesn't have any interest in joining them at all. So episode 1 established perfectly where their mind states were at. Like Claudia is ready to just grow up, find other people to mingle with, and have her own life, because she's like, what, like 50, 60 years old in a 14-year-old body?
Yeah.
Like, that has to be infuriating to be that mature and then still feel like you're being a kid being held back by your dad. Mm-hmm. And I also really like how they established more vampire lore as well, with like the bad blood that they were drinking.
Yeah.
Because this is during World War II. So like when vampires ever drink a person's blood, they feel all their emotions. They can even like taste like whatever ailments they might have. Mm-hmm. So the fact that they found vampires that looked morbid and just like completely monstrous because they've been drinking depressed soldier blood for like 8 years or something.
Yeah.
It's just like, it also further establishes how vampires are so cursed and how they're so heavily dependent on humans. Like, you can't just feed on anyone. You have to feed on someone that's actually like somewhat happy with their lives.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool world building, and it just added like this awful bleakness, so that when we got into Paris, it was more of a breath of fresh air. It's like there's still drama and shit, but now we get also like more moments of humor, more moments of like romance as well.
Yeah.
So I really like how episode 1 set up like the tone for like the entire series. And then when we get to Paris, that's when we start learning more about Armand, which I really like how he came across at first. I really liked his introduction. He was like this really suave looking, powerful looking vampire. Mm-hmm. And it's like, of course, the less we know about him, the better. Mm-hmm. But like the more we start unraveling how he is, the more we realize, oh, this dude is like severely like insecure about himself. Mm-hmm. And we thought Louis was a mess. Like, I don't know, what were your thoughts about Armand?
Oh goodness. I don't know. What really bothered me is when they would sit on the couch during the interview, because now he's part of the interview.
Oh yeah.
It was when they were just like finish each other's sentences and just like chuckle.
You didn't like that? I genuinely liked that.
I was so annoyed. You weren't annoyed.
Okay, Daniel Malloy.
Like, I guess I am. Because I want to know the facts. Like, what really happened, Louis? Like, come on. It was so annoying. It felt fake. It felt forced. Like,
damn.
It really did. It felt so forced. Not the acting. What the characters were doing. I said I could never get behind Armand. I could never be a fan. I could never. I just was. I don't know. He was like a hardcore rebound. I was just like, you're a rebound, and Louis trying to convince me, and I'm just like, no. And then when you find out the truth, it's more like, no. Like, I can't stand him from the very beginning. I questioned him. Like, from the very beginning, before he ripped out them contacts and started levitating, I was just like, oh, I'm something. Yeah. So I couldn't stand him at all this whole season. And then the more we started to find out, I was just like, really? Like, what? Come on. And I'm just like, and you're Lestat's ex, so that makes sense. Like, I just... yeah, I can't.
That ain't making me feel goofy for ever liking him in the beginning.
You should.
Wow. Fans need to come defend me right now.
I could never get behind him. He was always sus to me. I always questioned him.
I mean, I always did have an eye for skepticism on him because we didn't know much about him. But at first, I couldn't help but be like swooned over this guy. I'm just like, this guy is like very suave and cool. He looks like very in control. And I just wanted to know more about him. Like, what is his deal? Is he actually like a decent partner, or is he like somehow worse than Lestat?
Well, when I found out he was a vampire who was like 500 years older than Louis or whatever, just 500.
That was a bit of a red flag.
I was just like, why are you here acting like a servant? And then like, it was just weird. I questioned a lot because I'm just thinking, you're a vampire. And I'm like, not everybody's going to be like Lestat, but there was just something that I felt it wasn't something a 500-year-old vampire would do, or the way he would behave. I didn't get that vibe. So I was just like, well, what is your, what's the angle here? Like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
And then as more came out, it only made sense. It really did. And like, I just hated him even more once I realized like everything that he did, every part that he played in, when it came to Claudia, to Louis, to Louis and Lestat's relationship. Not that I was rooting for it, but when I found out how like everything played out, I was just like,
you a master manipulator.
I'm like, they could have had a conversation. I don't know, maybe therapy, some vampire therapy, and like, I don't know, work things out. Like, I mean, I don't want Louis and Lestat, but it's Louis and Lestat. I'm sorry. Like, as toxic as it is, I'm just like, Armand, where the hell did you come from to come and get in the middle of this? For what? And what do you gain out of like keeping Louis to yourself?
I think it comes from a place of insecurity for him. But we can get into that a little bit later, because I wanted to mention a few things that made me like him, and I think that's part of why I didn't see Armand as like a potential threat right away, because I really love their blossoming romance in Paris. I really love that episode where they get to know each other during one of their vampire hunts, and you just see rich people getting massacred in the background of the mansion. Fun. It's hilarious, but then you see these two looking at each other, like Louis and Armand, and I could feel like chemistry just oozing out of these actors. Like they look like they're like real life in love. And I wanted to root for that because it looked like it could have been going in the right place for once. Like, oh, this looks genuine. This doesn't feel as weird and off kilter as with Lestat, because it started off really weird with Lestat.
That's because he's weird with that voice, and then just the way he be moving and stuff like that. He just exudes problem. Like, he's just like that's Lestat. So like,
and Armand is like better at hiding all of his problems.
Not as good as he thinks.
Maybe, but
I was just like, like I know that moment that you're talking about. I remember it. It was cute. It was all right. I get it. Whatever. But I always just felt like he was hiding something. How can you be a part of this? What was it? The theater?
Yeah, group? Theater of the Vampires.
Yeah, this whole theater thing. And there was like he was constantly telling Louis to like, oh, be careful, like hide your thoughts or whatever. And
that's what made me trust him. That's because he's the one that's like, Louis, listen, I know you're hiding shit about Lestat. You need to be careful about hiding your thoughts, because if I can find out, the rest of these guys will come and they'll tear you apart. And it was like he was coming to his defense and his aid, and he was just waiting for Louis to be honest about killing Lestat. They're gonna be
here with open arms and make you think they're on your side and all that stuff. You need to be suspicious of everybody. Stranger danger.
I like strangers.
Clearly. Yeah, I just never, even getting those flashbacks to like how they met, it was just further just saying like, why you trust him? Why? What? Come on.
I guess because Armand was also part of like building some more vampire lore. I started trusting him a little bit in the flashbacks, because he also mentioned how like, hey, by the way, like you've been in this country for like, I don't know, a couple weeks, couple months, and you haven't checked in with the local vampires. Like that's customary. Like you got to know about this stuff, because otherwise you get fucked up if you go to the wrong vampire hood.
Yeah.
Like this is some rap game type shit. Like you got to check in when you go to fucking LA.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like because he was giving all like these guidances and like these tips and like instructions regarding like the vampire world, because Louis is just ignorant. He's just not educated in this stuff because of Lestat holding that information.
Yeah.
That's what made me like get closer to Armand. And I should have been more skeptical, and I kind of was at first, but I got so sucked into his charisma and him looking like he was genuinely like caring, which I think he was genuinely caring about Louis. Like he did love Louis. It's just later on he does some pretty messed up things, but then Louis also does messed up things. So I couldn't help but get enraptured in like the beginning of their relationship.
You sound like Louis.
Just coming at me this whole episode.
I'm sorry, but like, you know, it's just they too obvious. They just too obvious.
Yeah.
Like I could sniff them out and I could just tell like Armand ain't shit. Lestat definitely ain't shit. And now Louis ain't shit.
Like this season too, like at the beginning of the season, I still had like my beef with Daniel Malloy. I just hated how he kept talking to Louis and stuff. It's like, I get it. You're frustrated that you are not getting the information that you're looking for. But it's like now you're like really starting to throw jabs here. Like when he was making fun of how Louis and Armand were finishing each other's sentences during the interview.
He was right to do
I'm team opposite of that. I was like, let them do this. Let them do this.
I was so annoyed because I didn't believe it. I always suspected Armand of something. I always was, and I feel like that's what Daniel was feeling too. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Because I mean, what was it? His memories were erased or altered too. Of that night where Daniel and Louis met, where they were doing an interview. So that whole night's been altered for both of them.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's making some of it come back for Daniel, or if it's just that it's him being like, you know, a journalist and him asking all the right questions. Like he has to ask these questions and he's like, well, this doesn't make sense, or like I need more information, or that contradicts this. So I feel like he's just trying to do his job right now, and then that's just bringing up stuff not only for Louis but for him as well too. Yeah. So like there's like these
because it's crossed beyond a professional level. Because they have so much personal stakes from the last interview.
Exactly, which they reveal, and I'm just like, damn, all this happened. Why don't they remember Armand's bitch ass? That's what it is.
I don't know. I was kind of a fan of Louis and Armand kind of jumping Daniel during the interview when he started throwing like painful memories at Louis and Armand. And then they both started like saying stuff to him. You know, they talk shit about like how Daniel's like past relationships have failed and shit.
Oh, you're talking about his wife and when she was pregnant.
Yeah, I couldn't help but snicker at that. I'm just like, I'm sorry, but like I know everyone's not shit right now, but I'm like I'm particularly targeting Daniel right now because he's still beyond my nerves.
They were all just, it was all tit for tat with everyone around. It was just really funny.
Yeah, and then that back and forth of like fighting, basically throwing painful memories at each other, triggers Daniel to start remembering that portions of that interview that he'd forgotten about, and then now he's just like traumatized, and he's like, now I need to find answers during this interview. Like I need to figure out what exactly happened to me back in the 70s in San Francisco, because I'm not getting a full picture here. I need to figure out what's going on, and I think that's only fair. I think that's right, because he was just hanging out with Louis, and then Armand, you know, got upset and jealous about that. And then there was like some memory wiping that was going on. Yeah. So I really like how they built up to that, and how they just gradually just kept sprinkling it each episode until finally, I think it was like episode 5 is when there was like the kind of big reveal of what exactly happened during that interview. Yeah. But before we go into that, I wanted to real quick talk about Lestat coming back. When we saw how he first met Armand, tell me how you felt about seeing Lestat just in his element right now, just like in Paris in a play, and then he gets owned by Armand in the middle of the streets.
Yeah, that was funny. I needed that.
It was so fun to see Lestat powerless for once. Yeah. It was very interesting.
I was just like, this is refreshing. It was funny. I mean, but even then, he still had like this air about him where, even though he's just getting his ass flipped and tossed in the middle of the street, and there was just still something so Lestat about him. I was just like, he's going to turn this around somehow. Like, he always does. He always gets the upper hand somehow. So I was like, right now we're laughing at him and pointing, but it's going to turn around for him, which it does, I feel like. But I was just like, this is so fitting for him. I was like, of course he established this theater of vampires.
He established the coven that we see in Paris.
Because when they first get there and they finally meet the vampires, and they turn to look, and there's a picture of this motherfucker on the wall. I was like,
of course,
stop. I was so like, this can't be real. This can't be real. I was like, y'all better shut them thoughts, close them doors, all that stuff, because they were just like, yeah.
That's what Armand was telling Louis.
Like, who's that guy? I've never seen him anywhere before. You know, definitely not in where we're from. Yeah. Never knew him. That's not my daddy. Nope.
Yeah. I was really fascinated with the flashback that revealed how Armand basically used Lestat in order to establish the coven that they're in now, because first of all, just seeing that ass whooping that Lestat got in the streets was pretty fucking funny. And it was a really well shot fight. Like, it's not like anything like Blade or anything, but it's like there was a surprising amount of action for a romance drama. Like, it was fascinating to see Armand just owning him with like the telekinesis and shit, and how Lestat was like, how are you doing that? He's like a raging gamer right now. Yes. I'm just like, wait, you don't even know how to do this stuff yet? Like, that's crazy. So I thought that was a really fascinating spin on like where Lestat's beginnings were before he got to New Orleans. But then seeing how destitute the coven was living, just like living like homeless vampires, like they had barely any clothes, everyone was dirty as shit, and just like eating scraps. And then here comes Lestat, he's just like, I don't know why you guys living like this. You could just pretend to be vampires in front of humans and live way more comfortable. Like, you could do that, or you could do this and slowly die.
They're just like, oh, we didn't know.
Yeah, because this is where they establish like the rules that they're really fixated on. There's like 5 unbreakable rules basically, and they I think they were so strict about it, they didn't think about creating loopholes around it. Because I think one of the rules was like you can never reveal yourself to be a vampire in front of humans and let them live.
Yeah.
So them being actors and being in a theater while still drinking people on stage kind of like circumvents that rule. But I thought it was fascinating too, because I'm just like, well, I mean, you guys are like 5, 6, 7 vampires here. Like, if y'all just agree you want to do this stuff, it's not like there's like vampire police around. Talking about like you're breaking the law.
I don't know. They kind of stupid. I don't know, but they figured out a way around it. And I just thought that was really interesting. I thought that was funny when Claudia and Louis go to see one of the shows for the first time. And I like how she's like pointing out, she's just like, the wire's slack or the rope slack. He's just levitating on his own.
Yeah.
What was that one's name?
Santiago.
Oh, God.
Which was actually Francis. As we see later on.
Oh my gosh. Like, I like him and I hate him. Like,
that I really love how they wrote and how the actor played Santiago, because he was very charismatic at first. But then he also reveals how much of a dick he is and how he really didn't want people like Claudia around because he didn't want his coven to be threatened. And you're just like, oh man, like someone that I liked so like quickly is like becoming someone that I just want to punch in the face. Yeah. They did a really good turnaround with that character.
I knew he was like such a problem, but it was just like it was different from Lestat. Like
oh yeah,
it's very different from Lestat, where I was just like, this guy's funny. I really want to know like what his deal is, but he's just an asshole. For me, that's what it comes down to. It's like he's just an asshole, but who's very amusing. And I liked when Louis was basically going around killing all of them, and he was just like goading him and then saying all this stuff. And
Francis,
he was getting so upset, and I was just like, let me wait for you to make a wrong move, and then Louis just lops off his head. I just thought that was so funny. But yeah, he was interesting. They didn't really give us much of any of the other vampires in the coven. They were mostly background characters,
which is fine.
Yeah, I know. It was like there was too many of them. But I thought it was interesting that like he was the only one kind of pulled to the forefront.
And I think it made sense because he was a person that wanted to have more control of his life, because he felt like it was very monotonous what he was doing. Like even down to like the plays and scripts, he just got tired of it and was fed up. He's like, I want something new. Yeah. And I want to be able to like have control of that. So I think that's where like that ultimately comes from. Because when he does like all the research on Claudia's diaries and finding out about Lestat, that's where he's just like, I can't pretend to like be cool with these people. Like they're a threat to us. Yeah. So I totally got that character, and I thought they wrote him and he was performed wonderfully. Like he was a really good antagonist vampire for sure. Yeah. I also really liked how they established that Louis just wasn't ready to commit to anyone or anything in Paris, because there's a lot of that tension comes from Louis not committing to joining this coven, because he's already like trying to figure out who he is outside of being with other vampires. Like he's really fixated on like photography, and he just becomes like this huge capitalist businessman about photography, which makes sense because he was a pimp before, but now it's like he's actually pursuing something that he seems passionate and interested in. But it's like he can't really get that off the ground, because when he meets with the curator, he's like, oh yeah, you kind of got the eye, but not really. Like you could do way better. And then Louis realizes he can't be as good as like a human could be. And how that ties to like the vampires doing theater, and how they stay stuck in doing the same routines over and over until they finally get like a new thing going. But then they do that for like another like decade or so. Yeah. So I thought it was interesting how it kind of establishes how vampires struggle with creativity as well, and how that still connects to like them depending on humans in order to like keep new things going on in their lives. Because again, like these vampires are immortal. Like when you live forever, like you just run out of things to like care about it and live for. It's like you have to keep searching for new things. So Louis is like in that state, and I get why he didn't want to be part of the coven. But I don't know. I don't know if there's like a better way of him approaching that, because Claudia was dedicated and all in, and she didn't mean any harm to them, and she ultimately perished by wanting to be a part of this group. So I really like how they established that Louis kind of plays a part in that. Like it's basically kind of his fault for putting her in that position. Yeah. Because he wasn't being careful and really witnessing how they were treating her, because the way that they first indoctrinated her by like making her like clean up the sets and everything, like she was just like some janitor.
Yeah, I forget what the name is. They gave her like some nickname too.
Yeah, I forget.
But I was just like, really? I was like, how long does she have to do this? Like, what exactly are you guys waiting for? What does she have to do for you guys to be like, okay, we'll accept her? Because it's like you said, Louis never showed any interest. Was clearly like, no, I'm not joining. I'm just around. I'll respect your rules and try to do things the right way and clean up after myself. That was about it. And then Claudia's just like, I want this. Like, I love this. I love these people. I love these vampires. She was so excited when they went to the mansion and they just went in and killed all those people.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like she was a part of them already.
Yeah, it was definitely like that. So I was just like, what more could there be? I mean, they were already suspicious of Louis and Claudia, though, when they came in. There was always some sort of suspicious. So I just wonder if that mattered at all. Like, maybe if they like Louis and Claudia were just like passing by, it wouldn't have been anything. They would have been like, y'all just make sure y'all clean up and leave when y'all leave. But they wanted to stay and establish something there, and that was just them being suspicious and butting heads. Yeah. Whether it was the coven or like just these two people, two vampires alone, it was gonna not end. Well, it doesn't end well. But and I never saw it as like she's finally gonna like find her place. They're gonna fully accept her, because I think it was Armand who spoke. It was either Armand or Santiago who spoke about how like eventually she's probably gonna like just
basically end up like Daciana. She'll end up wiping herself out.
Yeah, like basically like
her mind will break
because of like her being so young, turned so young, and it's just like she was like a throwaway. Like the way they said it, they were just like, oh, we'll amuse her for now, and just like you go along with this. But honestly, like she should either be put down or she's just gonna like kill herself eventually. Yeah, and I was just like, wait, what? And then Louis just like, no, not her. She's different. But I really wonder if that's something that would have happened to Claudia eventually.
I think it would have happened, but not by accident. I think Santiago specifically was orchestrating her mental breakdown, because when he forced her to play the role of a child, and he literally said, for the next 50 years, you're going to do this. Yeah. Like, he wasn't just joking. He was serious. Like, that's something that he knew would mentally break her. Yeah. So I think the entire time he was never intending to bring her in, because, again, these vampires are sticklers for the rules. One of the rules is you can't turn children or the ill into vampires, and that's a rule that Louis broke. He technically did know the rules. Even Lestat explained that to him. Yeah. So, like, he just... I don't think he ever had intentions of accepting her, despite being charismatic with her and being like, oh, you could break the rules like every once in a while. You're not technically documenting yourself as a vampire if it's a private journal. But it's like you knew that bothered you. Yeah. And you're just manipulating her, and you knew you were going to eventually get rid of her. So putting her in that little doll costume for 50 years, making her sing about being a bird. Yeah. That was crazy.
It was so messed up.
That was really fucked. And you saw the look.
Moment, the very first time she saw it, and I was just like, damn, this is everything that she like doesn't want, everything she hates. From the very beginning when she saw the script and like the outfit, you just saw the look on her face, like, this is not what she was expecting. This is not what she thought she was going to be a part of. And I felt so bad. And then when they kept doing the shows, and it was just like over and and
she had less and less energy every time. Yes.
And then she was well known for it too, for the people that like live there or the people that would come to see her. And they're just like, oh, she's just like, you could tell she just wants to just like rip their throats out. Yeah. I just felt so bad for her. I really did. And I just felt like you said earlier, Louis wasn't really paying attention. He wasn't really looking out for her. Like, it's like he didn't realize the stuff was going on. He saw it and he was just like, oh yeah, like you're good. Like, yeah. But he should have known. Like,
and he should have cared more.
He should have cared more, for real.
And we also get to the point where Claudia actually makes her first friend ever in Madeline, who is a Jewish person that's living in Paris. And they had previous occupation from the Nazis, and you still have leftover anti-Semitic people living in Paris. So we see how Madeline is dealing with, basically systemic oppression. She's a woman, she's Jewish, like she deals with hate all the time.
Yeah, they keep vandalizing her
shop. And then we see that Claudia can, like, she can connect with that. They start off as like not rivals, but like there's bitterness towards each other at first, because Madeline is kind of condescending about Claudia's age and how she shouldn't be looking at shops like this.
Yeah.
Which also maybe might be racially motivated. I don't know.
I thought it was just more about like her looking like a kid.
I think it was more about that for sure.
Just like, you can't fill this out, and then Claudia's just like, alter the damn dress, woman, and yeah, I'll be here. I'll be here to pick it up later.
Yeah, I love how we saw that first initial like bumping of heads just blossom into a beautiful friendship, and then eventually into something more like romantic. The fact that Madeline was able to accept Claudia as a vampire when Claudia just outs herself because Claudia has to save her during an attack.
Yeah.
Like, I just love that moment when Claudia and Madeline are there in the shop together, and Claudia is just like, I promise you I'm not trying to kill you or drain you. Like, I genuinely just want to make sure you're okay. And I just love that. That could be a movie in and of itself right there.
Yeah.
Like, I just love how that friendship really formed so naturally, and how Madeline just ended up being like the only one that was really putting Claudia first out of everyone else.
Finally.
She went so far as to like turn into a vampire for Claudia as well, which that was a huge like no, because I think one of the other rules for vampirism is only the coven master can turn like new vampires. And since Armand turned it down, he's like, no, I'm not going to do that.
He knew exactly what he was. You see, again, Armand, like, you could have done it. He's like, I've never done this before. I don't know. Figure it out. Like, I'm pretty sure you read a book about it or someone told you about it. Turn the damn woman.
And then Louis just takes it upon himself to do it with Claudia.
And he don't know what he's doing either.
I'm surprised that they actually kept her alive while doing that. I really thought they were going to end up killing her by accident.
I know, especially Claudia.
Because that's the first time either of them has done that successfully. And I thought that was kind of nice how they did that together, because that looked like the first time I've seen in this show where somebody turns into a vampire and it's not through like a super traumatic experience. Like, it's not somebody being attacked. It's like she's opting in to do this and they're agreeing.
No priest got punched through the face for this. So yeah.
Yeah, so I thought that was interesting, but I was like, Louis, you're just trying to get into all kinds of trouble. You're trying to go to vampire jail at this point. Like, that was crazy.
Straight to jail.
Yeah,
I can't. I mean, he just really. There are rules. The rules are stupid. But he just really think that he's untouchable. Like, there will not be any consequences for his actions. And I just feel like I don't know where he gets off being like this, honestly. I feel like it's not even like really who does he think he is, but it's just like, you should be trying to protect yourself and Claudia. Like, she's basically your companion. She's your daughter, sister, whatever. That's weird. But you should be you guys should be trying to like protect each other and make sure you're not doing anything that's going to put you in danger. And I feel like he just does stuff thinking that there's no one else in the world but him or but the people who he cares about. Yeah. And that's like kind of, it's just, it's annoying. It's worrying. It's just like, you don't think that anything bad could ever happen. Look what you went through with Lestat. You know, like, look at all the like the bodies Lestat has left in his wake as well too. Before you, like, while you guys were together, and probably even after that as well too. Like, just look at that. Yeah. And he's just like, it's like he's not comprehending that there are other vampires, there are rules. You are seeing this right now. There's a reason you don't want to join, because you're gonna feel restricted, and there's gonna be controlled. But it was just like, I can't believe he did this, but I also was happy in that moment too that they managed to do this. And I was like, he owes Claudia this. At the very minimum. Yeah, I felt that he owed her this, so I was like, yeah, do it. But I was just like, also, y'all not supposed to be doing this.
Yeah, but again, it's very conflicting feelings for me, because this was part of Louis being ready to let go of Claudia and letting her have her own life.
Did you feel like it was just like, I'm going to do this for her and let her go because I want her to be happy? Or let me do this so that way someone else could take care of this little girl because I can't stand her? Like, did you... It
was a bit of both. I think there was a conversation between Louis and Armand at one point where he was just like, if I do this, that means I don't have to worry about Claudia and I can just worry about us too.
I thought he was just saying that though.
I don't know.
Did you feel like...
I think he kind of, a part of him did mean that. Because I think a part of him was getting sick and tired of like having to try to put Claudia first, because it also was very stressful for him, but it's also like, well, you're not committing to what she's doing. It's like, if you don't want the same thing as her, it's best that you guys go your separate ways. Not that you guys can't reconnect with each other, but it's like, she's old enough mentally to do whatever it is she wants to do. And if you don't feel committed to follow her in that, establish that, let her know that. Don't say that you're going to do that and then just like drag her along and then not actually do it.
Yeah.
So I think a part of him did feel like honesty about him saying like, it can just be us two and I don't have to worry about Claudia anymore. Because when we get to the dinner scene, when Louis and Armand and Claudia and Madeline are having dinner together, and we see how this was like a setup the whole time, Armand just like informed the coven about the turning of Madeline and how they just snatched everyone up from the table. I was like, oh god, because I could see that Louis was ready to just move on, have his own life with Armand. They genuinely do love each other in this moment, but Armand is also struggling too, because this is the life that he's always known. He can't just easily cast away the coven. So for him to just like be like, yeah, I'll set this up so that my coven can snatch them, I was like, that's where it really started getting complicated for me.
Still liked his hair?
I still like the hair. But that's where we really started seeing like, oh man, Armand really ain't shit either.
I've seen it before. Like I said, I've seen it way before. You know, I just, oh my gosh, I can't stand him. Like I feel like everything was so calculated. I don't know if you felt like, because what is it, Claudia and Madeline, they were away for some time. Was it a
I think they traveled for a bit. I don't know how long.
I don't know how long it was, but he knew about this, and I don't know if it was that they had them come back or they were just visiting, because they were gone, they were away, they were happy. It felt like a really happy moment in that restaurant. You had like this couple and this other couple here, and they were just catching up, and it just felt nice.
It felt so good, and it was deceptively nice.
Yeah, I was just
this
like,
was a trap.
I was just like, okay, we're good, but I was like, when Claudia gonna die? Because like I know that's supposed to happen. I was like, what exactly is going to happen here?
I was hoping they would just completely retcon that moment. I was like, I just wanted to be happy.
I know, right? But Armand just was never, I can't agree with the decision that, oh, this is his coven. Like, he has to follow the rules. He's going to give them to his coven. Like, I just change the rules. Or, like, run away with Louis and tell Claudia and Madeline to just not come back to Paris ever again. I mean, what are the chances of this coven like traveling the world to find them and kill them? Yeah. Like it's just like, if you step foot back in Paris, we gonna have a problem. That like I could understand, but it was just like, I feel like you already were trying to like, I don't know, like leave the coven yourself. Like you for Louis, it seemed, why not just do that? Like, what was it? I was like, did you also have something against Claudia too? Was it because of the connection that Claudia and Louis have? Like, I can't understand Armand. Like, I can't. No, I really can't. Like, he is super insecure, and there's like just things about him that I really just can't stand. And I'm just like, but why? Why do all this? Like, let Santiago take over the stupid coven. Like, you seem to not care about it, but yeah, I don't know.
I think it goes back to his backstory about how he was human trafficked by somebody before turning into a vampire, I believe. And I don't think he's ever fully recovered from that sort of trauma. That's really horrific. Like being a young teenager to young adult, like being human trafficked, like that is no joke. And that can do a lot of damage for your self-confidence. And I feel like Armand's always been like extremely insecure, and he has to put up this front that he has everything under control. Yeah. But ultimately he has like this attachment style that he needs to be latched onto somebody that can kind of make him feel more whole, but never really reconciling with what happened to him and making peace with that and moving forward with that. Because when we got into episode 5, showing Louis and Daniel doing their first interview together at their apartment, and how Armand left them alone because he's like, I don't want to be a part of this. Like, you guys, you have fun with that shit. Like, you could tell there was bitterness already, and this is way after Paris. Like, Armand was just like already bitter with Louis. You could see that Louis was completely tired of Armand. Like, he just didn't care about his feelings. Like, he legit called him boring. Like, he called Armand boring. I'm like, that's why I wanted to play with this human and do this interview.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about my life.
My life or Lestat?
Yeah. Oh my God.
My Lestat. That's what I want to talk about.
Lestat. I totally get Armand's frustration too, because when you're fixated on an ex like that, it just feels like you never fucking got over them. Like, they had been together for like something like 30-40 years or something, up until like the 70s, and it's like, you're still talking about fucking Lestat.
Yep.
And the fact that Louis was basically breaking the rules that Armand is still like very much like married to. Like, he still enforces that rule of like, don't document your life as a vampire and don't reveal yourself to this human and let him live. That's why he was planning to kill Daniel, and then Louis told him like, no, I want him alive. And then Armand asks him like, are you asking me or are you telling me? It's like, that's what reveals like the power dynamic between them. Louis has like the power in the relationship, even though he's not quite like Lestat. He's a little more hardened, and he has a little more I don't know, maybe confidence in himself. Because he knows what works for him and what doesn't, whereas Armand is so attached to Louis. It's almost like he's the Louis in this relationship to some degree. Not quite the same, but it's like, you see like every interaction that they have in those flashbacks, it just chips away at Armand's really cool demeanor, and you see how much he's really anxious to be with Louis, and he doesn't want to be like alone and try to find somebody else. That whole scene in episode 5 was like intense. First of all, Daniel offering to like have sex with Louis was just so fucking funny. I was not ready to hear young Daniel say that. I'm picturing older Daniel, how much he just hates this dude's guts. I'm just like,
that was funny. He's like, so we did it. He's like, I thought we did.
Did we do it?
I thought that was so funny. Louis like, nah. But that was, I don't know. Yeah, I guess I do see like the dynamics between Louis and Armand. Louis is definitely in control. I don't know how, but I don't know. It's just like these vampires just stay falling in love with him. Like, I get it. He's really cute. You know, he's baby. Like, I get it. But I'm just like, you have so much power. That's why, like, when we're in the future, like the present, and they're doing the interview together, I'm just like, what is Armand's angle? Because I'm like, you're older, you're more powerful, like, what? Right. You know, it's very weird. It's like he's very
desperately trying to like manipulate the interview, but you don't see that he has all the power. Because he's trying to hide things, he's trying to censor things with like Louis' photos not being his own photos. And then the issue of like hiding Claudia's diary pages as well.
And when we go back to when Daniel and Louis were doing the interview, like the way they made those like pieces like slowly start to come back, like it was weird. I was like a little uncomfortable. I was just like, what happened? How? Why did you pull these certain things out? Why can they not remember this thing?
Why can't Louis and Daniel both remember the same things at the same time?
Exactly. And when they played how it all happened, I was just like, I know Lestat is still not connecting with these motherfuckers, but
Armand did it to mock Louis. That scene was crazy when Armand was... First of all, there was like a whole scene of Louis trying to like kill himself and trying to burn himself in the sun. Because Armand was like saying hurtful things about, you know, Claudia and Lestat, and Louis just couldn't take it anymore. And I couldn't tell if he was like being emotionally manipulative by throwing himself in the sun, or if he genuinely just wanted to be gone.
Sometimes
or if it was both.
Sometimes it feels like that with Louis. I think that's where he be getting the power, because like I feel like
he did that with Lestat too when it came to turning Claudia into a vampire. Like later on we learned like the full truth, which we'll get into a little bit later with the trial.
Because it seems like with Lestat and Louis, it seemed like Lestat was totally and completely in control, but Lestat is like completely in love or just obsessed with Louis, and Louis being his too, that he doesn't want to lose him at all. So it's just like
he doesn't want himself getting hurt.
Louis can like beg and beg and beg and say a whole bunch of stuff like, I'm gonna leave, I'm gonna hurt myself, I'm gonna do this, and like Lestat doesn't want any of that, so he'll do whatever. I feel like that's the same thing with Armand as well too. So that's why I'm just like, I don't know, I think Louis be doing that shit on purpose, and that's where his power comes from, because he's like, they love me. They love me.
And then you see how he's like bedridden and crispy and shit.
Oh, yeah.
And Armand is just like, you know what? I need to dig into you a little more. So I'm going to connect with Lestat telepathically. And I'm going to send I'm gonna play a game of telephone.
Yeah.
And
oh my god,
the fact that he was actually connecting with Lestat, and Lestat was able to pass on messages to Louis up until he says, "I love you," and Armand can't bring himself
Armand's
to
just
say
like,
that.
I can't. I'm going driving through a tunnel right now.
I don't. Vampire. 18. That was so funny.
I was like, you better tell him he said that. But I was like, of course he's not.
I was not ready for the level of toxicity that this relationship was going to have. It was similar, but also very different from what Louis and Lestat had. It was like both of them at some points equally hurt each other. Mm-hmm. It's almost like they both are fighting for the power in the relationship sometimes. And I couldn't tell what was worse. I mean, I think it's just a different kind of bad compared to Louis and Lestat.
Yeah,
I was like, great. This was like, I couldn't root for Armand either.
You should have known from the moment you saw him.
Yeah, and then we see that Armand is the one that basically wiped away Daniel Malloy's memory since Louis wants to keep him alive. Mm-hmm. And I think Louis does like this weird enchantment thing in his ear where he keeps telling Daniel, like, you're going to do like amazing things with your journalism. You're going to keep living and you're going to keep doing great things with your work. Mm-hmm. Like, I wonder if that was like an actual spell or if it was just something that he wanted to say to keep him going.
Yeah.
Because it was very interesting how he still wanted Daniel alive. And Armand was just ready to just like drain him at this point. So it was really interesting to see that power dynamic and how that still was playing out in modern day during the current relationship. Because when they revealed that truth bomb where like Daniel and Louis both got mind wiped, I wasn't ready for what was going to happen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was... I was like, what's going to happen? I was like, what's Louis going to do? How is Armand going to lie his way out of this? Mm-hmm. Like, I hear Louis just like, pack your shit and go. Like, I'll pack my shit and go. Someone's packing their shit and leaving.
Yeah.
Armand just like, there was just no getting out of that.
Yeah.
There was none. And that it all came down to when Claudia and Louis and Madeline, they were all on trial. What it came down to was who saved Louis. That's what it came down to. Because they already said, Claudia's guilty, she won't die.
Yeah.
They told Madeline just like, yeah, we're going to give you a chance. You want to join our coven or you want to die with Claudia, your partner, your maker, or not your maker, but she's part of it. But yeah, she's just like, she my people, she my coven, this is it. So they're just like, all right, that's it. I thought that moment was great. I know I'm jumping to that real quick, but I thought that moment was so great because I finally was like, even though I know Claudia is going to die right now, they're going to kill her, I still felt at peace that someone finally chose her. I was like, I'm choosing you, but it don't matter, girl. But someone finally chose her, and I was just like, if this is really how she has to go out, I'm fine with it. I really am. But going back to how everything was revealed with Armand, I was like, there's no way you're getting out of this. We know who saved Louis. We know from that whole thing when they were on trial, we know who saved Louis. And it's just like, why didn't you do anything? Mm-hmm. Like, what was it? Why did you make it seem like it was you this whole time? Mm-hmm. And I just feel like he's definitely intimidated by Louis' relationship with Lestat because, I mean, Louis don't make it easy. Yeah. Like he said, Lestat. Mm-hmm. But I just thought it was so funny that he couldn't get his way out of this and Louis was just done with it. And I was just like, but that was like just a complete like 180 for Louis. And I was just like, is that easy? Because you guys were just finishing each other's sentences. So like, what, how did you feel about that?
Yeah.
Like the reveal, like Armand trying to like get out of that, or Louis just shutting it down and be like, that I'm done. Mm-hmm. Like, what did you think about that?
Yeah. When they dropped that truth bomb, when Daniel pulled out the files and pulled out the original script with Armand's notes, and that he was the one headlining the show the entire time, that's where I was just like, wow, there is no point of return for like this relationship. Like, Louis will absolutely be done with you. Yeah. Because Louis is the one that asked to have his memory wiped of San Francisco. He didn't want that, and he got that. But there was so much other manipulation going on about his history, like all the files that Armand was hiding, and the fact that he hid this whole truth of like he's the one that orchestrated this death. Yeah, I was like completely shook. Like I was just like, at least Lestat wasn't trying to kill Claudia, really. Like, he just wanted to get rid of her. Like, he fantasized about killing her, but he never once did something like that. Yeah. And that's probably, like, the one unforgivable thing that I could only imagine for Louis. Like, I don't think he could ever forgive anybody for doing that. Mm-hmm. To find out that Armand did that shit, I was like, yeah, holy shit.
And then all that, like, hate and, like, the betrayal of I feel like that was all placed on Lestat. I mean, they already had their issues before, but, like, I felt like Louis also thought that was all of Lestat. Like, he really sat there and watched their daughter, their baby, burn, and it was nothing. Like, he really didn't do anything about that, you know? But I think that's also part of, like, him just the betrayal of Armand, and then just, like, you really made me think this was all Lestat this whole time, you know?
Yeah. And then also just us thinking that Armand was the one that was trying to manipulate the crowd from killing Louis and sparing him. But instead, it was Lestat using his mental powers to manipulate everyone.
I don't know how I missed that, because I was just like, he did that in season 1, right?
Yes.
With all the soldiers that were in the house.
Yes.
And then Daniel's just like, how many people can he, you know, control to do? And he was like, how many of those soldiers were in the house at that time?
Yeah.
And when they go back to that scene, you see, like, he's having, like, a nosebleed.
I was like, where are we going with this? I was like, oh,
yes. Yes, guys, yes.
So to find out that Armand wasn't even the one that spared Louis, he was basically ready to let him go.
He was.
I'm shook. I have no words right now. Like, I was completely hurt and confused, and I was ready to beat everyone's ass. Because seeing Claudia burn with Madeline really just fucking broke me. Like, the fact that they were holding each other and she finally found somebody that put her first, but it was way too late.
Yeah.
And the fact that they died by sunfire, like, come on, like, she got saved from being burned in season 1, and now she dies from burning. Like, that's
like, this is what should happen all along, girl. You gotta go.
That's poetic injustice. That's what that is.
Yeah.
That was horrific.
I know. I like when she told the crowd, she's just like, if I could come back, y'all all fuck.
I love her energy through and through. Like, this new actress that plays her, I love that she has more of like a fire to her personality. No shade to the previous actor. She did a really great job too. Like, I think they both equally do really good things with this character. But she was very fiery this season. Like, she pulled no punches with her thoughts. And I love how that's how she chose to go out. It's like, yeah, she just fantasized, like, if I could, I'd kill every single one of you in this damn room.
Yeah.
And still cussing out Lestat too, but then ultimately looking to Lestat like just a desperate moment of, like, wanting to be saved and wanting, like, so much that she just, all she can do is look in his eyes.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, that really pissed me off, because I'm just like, Lestat, if you could choose to save Louis, you could have chosen to save Claudia as well. You could have, like, come on.
He's like, I only get one nosebleed, guys, so, like, just yeah.
I know the powers can, like, the explanation is, like, kind of shaky sometimes of how exactly it works, but I'm just like, I think you could have saved Claudia as well if you really wanted to. Like, I don't know, that really sat really wrong with me.
Yeah, because, I mean, he knew it's gonna hurt. It's gonna just devastate Louis. And it's just, like you said, he wants to get rid of her, but I don't think he wants to kill her because of what she means to Louis. And I think on some level, she means something to him as well, too. They butt heads way too much. But yeah, that moment was, like, really sad, especially, like, when we get to, like, the very end of, like, the season, the final episode, and he talks to Louis when Louis goes to, like, thank him and, like, be like, I know it was you, and, you know, when he talks about Claudia and how he was like, and she turned to look at me, like, you almost had me, Lestat. You almost had me.
There was,
like,
I think I sensed genuine remorse.
Yes, but, like, I don't.
But it's like, I feel like you could have fucking saved her.
You could have fucking done something.
But it's like, I know the story's supposed to play out this way. It's supposed to be dedicated to the source material. It's just like.
But that really broke me when he talked about how she turned to him and. I just,
she looked at me like I was her father.
Stop it. I hate when he does his little stop voice.
Holding his wooden ass keyboard, and it's like his iPhone in the background or his iPad. I'm just like, what is happening right now?
Yeah, that almost got me, but oh my gosh, that was intense. And then Louis having to stay locked in that coffin, or what?
Yeah, that was his punishment. It was like being in a coffin full of rocks so that he could just dry out and just starve to death.
I was just like, damn. And just every night, just not knowing night or day, whatever it was, just knowing that Claudia was gone, you can't save her. There's absolutely nothing you can do. Until eventually, like, Lestat, not Armand, comes and saves him. And that's how Armand altered all of that. And he didn't, like, and then Lestat didn't say anything either. Yeah. When, like, Armand took credit for it, basically. And I was just like, can you say something? Because, like, I don't like Armand. I mean, I don't like you either, but, like, I can't stand Armand. I can't stand him.
Yeah. I really like that sequence of Louis getting revived and how he just takes his vengeance on the coven, because we finally discovered why the theater burned down. It's because of Louis John Wick getting his lick back. That whole sequence where he just puts on like that fresh ass jacket and he's walking around like just looking like a badass killer. He suddenly has ancient powers of manipulating fire and shit. I'm like, where was this energy earlier?
But I mean, there's too many vampires around them when they were on trial anyway, controlling them. And
that's why he killed them in their sleep, or most of them.
Because then that would have not ended well for him at all.
Yeah.
Would have been right back there, or probably just met the sun.
Yeah, and then you mentioned earlier how he goes after Santiago/Francis, and how he's just mocking him telepathically the whole time until he finally meets up with him and just slashes his head off.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
I needed that because Santiago pissed me off. I cannot stand him, like, during, like, that whole trial. And I like how Lestat kept going off script. And then he's just like, he's not supposed to say that, or that's not your line. Like, yeah, I just thought that was so funny because he was just itching for the script to be read word for word to get through it so that we can, like, kill Claudia and Louis. Yeah. And I was just like, I'm so glad you gone. Like, you messy. Like, and not it's not fun anymore.
Yeah. It was very fascinating to see Lestat still toying with everybody that's involved in the trial, because he's still just Lestat. Like, he'll break the rules, he'll change up the script, he'll even tell the honest truth when Santiago tries to tell lies about Louis.
Yeah.
Like, there's at one point during the trial where they're talking about the big fight that they had in the apartment in season 1, and how Santiago was like trying to make it Louis' fault, but Lestat just chimes in. He's like, no, that was me. Like,
I beat his ass. Ass.
Yeah, he literally says, I'm the one who broke him when he talked about dropping him from the sky. And I love how those were hints right there that it was probably Lestat that was the one that saved Louis and not Armand.
Yeah.
Because he didn't have that much to gain about telling the honest truth, other than just like being like, I'm still going to save this person. Even if he's not going to be with me anymore, I'm still going to try to find a way to save him. Like, that's how much I love him, as much as I'm a toxic motherfucker. And then there was like this interesting moment in the trial too, where a soldier in the crowd like yells out at like a gay slur, and Lestat like was not having any of that at all. Like, he quickly teleported from the fucking stage onto like the back seats, and he's just I'm surprised he doesn't go off and lose control in the crowd. He lets the guy live because he still wants to continue the trial, and he just goes like, listen, how many of your soldier buddies are here right now seeing some gay vampires? Like, what does that say about you? Like, the fact that he got so triggered just takes me back to that moment in season 1 where he couldn't bother to care about Louis' issues with dealing with racism in that town. And how some people in our comments were talking about like how they're making arguments that Lestat wasn't racist. And this is a moment where I feel like that's another point where you could reflect on that, where it's like, why was he so triggered about something so human, right?
Yeah.
Something like homophobia, such a human experience and an issue. Why didn't he care that much for Louis when he was dealing with racism? Like, those are two things that you would trivialize as like human little things.
Yeah.
But you can see that Lestat still cares about things that are like human related, because he still has that experience. He will not accept something like that.
Exactly.
So I don't know. I don't see no strong defenses about Lestat's racism in season 1. I still stand by that shit.
And and then for the show, this is an adaptation of the book.
Yeah.
So
they're intentionally inserting race relations and homosexuality
so I feel
overtly.
Like, I don't know, we need a definition of adaptation or something. In this adaptation, race is incorporated into this story, so it would be important. I think both of them are white in the book. Yeah. So it's just like, you wouldn't...
Those issues wouldn't come up.
They wouldn't come up. But in this one, this adaptation, they are going to do that. They've added some things. The story still follows the book loosely, but they add some other things in there which don't hurt the story at all. At least I don't think it does. And brings up more discussion and topics like, can vampires be racist?
Yeah.
They can.
Exactly. Yeah. And can vampires be hurt by homophobia? Yes, we can. We see Lestat gets easily triggered.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. I'd be right there with him being like, talk your shit, bitch. Say that again. Say that word again. Louis Wick.
Louis Wick. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it was very interesting to have that little moment of like, he still has that connection to like those human problems. As much as he wants to distance himself from that, I think he's very much a part of that.
Yeah. He distanced himself from a lot of emotions. He needs therapy.
Yeah.
Therapy. Everybody.
Yeah. And when we get to the scene that you mentioned earlier about Louis choosing Armand over Lestat, during that moment where he kills Lestat by choosing Armand in front of him, I thought that was a pretty interesting and pretty big of Lestat to not say anything about the truth and just let him go off and be like, okay, I wish you the best. Really, I genuinely do. And when you do find out the truth, I hope it's not too late.
Yeah.
Like, that really recontextualized when we saw the big truth reveal. Like, it really recontextualized that scene of why Lestat just accepted that in that moment and didn't try to fight for Louis in that moment.
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting. And then seeing him damaged at the end of the season, and then them two reconvening in New Orleans, I didn't know what to make of that. It's like, I feel like they were making amends with each other, but I have no idea if they're like thinking of like being back together. I don't know if Louis would still want to do that at this point, or if he's still somehow that thirsty for Lestat.
Louis is a dumb bitch. He gonna do it.
You think so?
He's going to do it. I feel like it's gonna happen.
I could easily see it going that way.
I see it going that way. They've just been through so much. They've hurt each other so much over how many, like, I don't know, how many years has it been?
Yeah.
And the fact that Louis came all the way back to New Orleans to just be like, oh, thanks for I just came to say thanks. Like, you couldn't send a letter, you couldn't call, you couldn't text, email, something.
I thought that was interesting that he was thanking him for getting the dark gift. Like, thank you for making me a vampire. I feel like I don't know, maybe he's finally happy with being a vampire now, but I don't know. There's like so much suffering and just misery that comes with that. I don't know if I would thank somebody for turning me into that. I'm like, I think I'd rather have a limited amount of time.
I feel like, I mean, unless you decided like this is what you genuinely want, like Madeline, then it would be a little bit different. But I'm just like, y'all been through so much. But I just thought I was just like, you couldn't have like send a letter or something, whatever y'all do, or you don't need to do anything. You could have just put it out there with your little brain things that y'all vampires be doing. You could have, he would have got the message.
Yeah.
You know, he would have got that.
Yeah. But
he came all the way there. So I'm just like, you guys are both hurting when they were talking about Claudia, when they were talking about all this. And
yeah,
I just felt like, oh, I did this, I didn't mean to, or I'm sorry, and I thought it was you, but it wasn't, and like it felt like, oh yeah, we were both wrong. Let's skip off into the dark moonlight together. I was gonna say the suns, but the moon, you know, that's what it felt like in that moment. So I was just like, y'all getting back together. It might not be right at this moment, but it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it could go the other way because it doesn't quite end with them being together.
It doesn't.
It ends very ambiguously because we see them, you know, holding each other during the hurricane and just consoling with each other, but we don't see them actually reuniting as a couple, really. It's like left open in the air because then it just cuts to like the next scene of I think Daniel and then also Louis.
I don't like Daniel as a vampire.
Yeah.
It's weird.
But before getting there, like I appreciate that this season really recontextualized Lestat's part in the relationship in season 1 and Louis's, because now we got the full picture of how Louis was responsible for being toxic in that relationship as well.
Yeah.
So, and I'm really glad that the show like takes its time to explain why Lestat was the way that he was and not like accepting it or like apologizing for it. Because they made Louis almost just as messy when he just is really a master emotional manipulator.
Yeah.
He may not be as strong as Lestat. Maybe he can't beat him in a fight. He can't control him physically, but emotionally, he can wreck people. He did that with him. He did that with Armand. To some degree, he did that with Claudia.
I was going to say Claudia for sure.
Yeah. He has a really hard time really like just being fully kind to people. Like I think he finally realizes that he can be very hurtful in his own way. So I think this show really finally made me realize that I can't be fully like Team Louis as I was in season 1.
Yeah, I can't.
It's like I still like parts of you, but man, you really are a problem too.
Definitely. I think I felt that way for sure when they flash back to the night they turned Claudia.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember in season 1 where he was just crying and begging to Lestat. He's just like, please, he's like, save her, change her. But when we see how that scene really played out in season 2, he like had her dragging by the arm or the leg or something like that across the room to like just no regard for like this poor like 14-year-old girl who was like nearly burned in this building and like on the verge of death. It was just like, please, can I have this one? Like,
I'll never leave you if you do this.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh my God, Louis. I was just like, this is what really happened. I was so like, I was shocked. I was just like, what?
And disregarding Lestat's explanation of why it's not the right thing to do to a kid.
He's just like, I need this. We need this. This is for us. And I was just like, oh my God. So I was like, this is how she turned. And it didn't feel like how he made it seem before. Like it was just like he was looking for someone or like a sister or whatever.
Trying to be heroic too.
Yeah, it didn't. That was all out the window. I was just like, he just thought this was gonna fix it.
Yeah,
you know, like. Yeah,
that was a really good reveal for sure.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about Daniel turning into a vampire off screen?
he's like a, I don't know. He's annoying. I don't like him as a vampire. There's something more like, I don't know.
You think you'll like him less as a vampire than as a human?
I don't like him as a vampire. There's just something so like, I mean, he's already dickish, but it's like super dickish now. Like somehow. I was just like, this is annoying. He thinks he's so cool. And I'm like,
yeah.
But Armand is the one that changed him. And and then he's just like, hey, he's like, yeah, Louis. He's like, you better be careful because like everybody's gonna come after you now. And then Louis just like, let them. Like, I thought that was so funny. What did you think about that like very ending where you heard all the vampires like saying, who's this Louis guy? I'm
everybody wanting him dead.
Yeah, I don't know. It
again,
really
Louis Wick. Louis Wick. Season 3 is gonna be Louis Wick.
I was just like, how did you feel about that? Because he was just like, I don't care. He's like, come find me. I'm right here. Here's my address. Like,
I thought it was really interesting. I'm curious to see where we go with Louis moving forward because I'm like, now the whole vampire world wants to come after you, and he challenged them. He dared them to do it openly, and I'm just like, I don't know if that was really bold or really stupid of you, Louis.
I know. I'm just like, what you gonna do when they show up? Like, how does this work?
Yeah, I have really no idea if they'll explore that in season 3 or if that'll be like a future season or a spin-off. But yeah, I'm very intrigued by that. I don't think it was like a bad thing to do at the end. I think it was I think that made sense for Louis to go like that.
Yeah.
I think he just becomes more and more problematic in different degrees, I think, at this point. So, I don't know. At this point, I'm waiting for like a huge kung fu section of Louis just beating on vampires in the next season.
Louis Wick. Yeah.
And I'm curious what they'll do with Daniel Malloy, because clearly now he's going to stick around as a character now that he's a vampire. Like his whole world's completely different. The people that bought his book and shit in the news, they still don't believe that he found vampires.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a very interesting twist as well. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just hungry for more Interview with the Vampire now. I want to see where these characters go moving forward. I want like 20 seasons of this.
Damn, no you don't. I'm glad like we're finally caught up. I'm just like, where have we been? Like, what have
and I really wish we did like fucking weekly episode reviews of this, but
maybe in the future.
Yeah.
Season 3.
Yeah, because there's like so much to dissect with every single episode with this show.
Yeah.
I see why people love this show so much, and I'm very curious. I think we might pick up the book at some point because I'm curious
it's already in my shopping cart.
No, there you go. Yeah. So, yeah, no, this season was fantastic. I loved it basically as much as season 1. They just did such a great job with the writing and acting.
How are you rating it?
I gave it, the most potato last season?
I'm going to tell you mine.
Go for it. I'm struggling.
I'm giving it a loaded potato.
Okay.
Yes.
I think that's kind of where I'm leaning.
Yeah, I'm giving it a loaded potato because it started off slow for me. Episode 1, episode 2, maybe a little bit. But the end where it really picked up and just all like the bombshells of like, you know, with Claudia and Lestat and Armand and Louis and Daniel even, I was just like, this felt a little bit more like season 1 for me, which I was just like, this is great. Like, it's just problem after problem. I sound like I like problems, but I really liked it. Not to say like the first, like, you know, episode or like just the beginning of this season wasn't important. It was very important, very emotional. It helps you better understand Claudia, Louis, their relationship, you know, just everything that the aftermath of season 1. But it was a little slow for me. It didn't feel as bad as that second season of House of the Dragon. That wasn't bad, but you know, it was slow. I was on my phone. But I would give this definitely a loaded potato. Basically, going into the most, I'm enjoying it still. I'm definitely looking forward to season 3, especially after that trailer with
oh my god.
I'm just like, what is this messy ass vampire gonna be doing in a season 3? Like, you know, so I'm looking forward to it. Like, I'm totally on, you know, the interview with the vampire, you know, boat, and this is like my new show. This is like on my list of things to look forward to in life.
Yeah. I think we'll definitely do like a weekly review thing for season 3 because we can finally watch it weekly. We've been catching it every time the season's over.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I think I'm going with loaded potato as well for basically the same reasons you mentioned. I think there was a bit of a slower start, but again, a very important, crucial start.
Yeah.
Because I think season 1 was, again, way more concise. So I think I enjoyed that way more, but this is still like very close to season 1. So I think that's 2 loaded potatoes. This thing is delicious. It's got everything you want in this nice potato called Interview with the Vampire season 2. So I think that'll do it for us. Thank you so much for listening, guys. Make sure to like, rate, subscribe, hit notification bells, share this video with your progeny, with your vampire masters and all that good stuff. And make sure to keep commenting all your thoughts and ideas, because I know we didn't touch on a lot of things that we wanted to touch on. There's so many little details. Yeah. So please feel free to drop in season 2 spoiler discussions, because we're ready for that.
More. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
And we'll definitely be doing season 3 whenever it comes out. And give us show recommendations as well, because I feel like sometimes I'm out of the loop with shows.
Yeah. I mean, look at this one. We hit a gold mine. Who knew that this would be like the greatest show ever?
I know. Yeah. All right. And thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.